What is going on, you sexy mofos? Today's another beautiful day of 2017. I'm Alejandro, and let's talk about cars, yo. Hit it, Pedro! Welcome back, you sexy mofos. For those of you who are new to the channel, thank you very much for joining, first of all. And second, this is a show where we talk about just cars. I know, let's talk about cars, yo. Who would have thought that that's what we do in the show? So just give you a little bit insight information in the car world, and then we just go back and forth. The conversation starts right here. So people, we're gonna talk about new cars all around and a new show that we have coming out very soon. So number one, let's start with the new cars. We're gonna talk about Porsche. A lot of Porsche news. We're gonna talk about Pagani. We're gonna talk about McLaren. And finally, we're gonna talk about Lamborghini. So let's start the conversation with Porsche. Why are we talking about Porsche first? Because they're the ones that are coming out with the most cars that I have information about right now. Also, it's no secret, I love their brand. I love everything they stand for. I love their cars. I love the way they operate, and I love their VIP program. Here we go. Number one, the new GT3. Everyone is very excited about the new GT3 that's about to come out. We finally got solid information from Autocar UK, which solidifies everything that we knew. So here's a few facts of what the new GT3 will be, the 991.2. Number one, obviously that's a replacement for the current GT3 that's available right now. It's going to debut at the Geneva Motor Show this year, which is around late February, early March. It's going to have a 4.0-liter engine instead of the 3.8 as before, and instead of 475 or 85 horsepower, is going to have 500 horsepower. I heard somewhere else that they said 510. I'm not entirely sure. Now, it is not the same engine as the old 4.0's engine. This is a new engine, new technology where they're able to boost out more power out of less. So I'm very excited to see what that is all about. But most importantly, this is the first time the GT3, I think, was made in a manual and automatic transmission. So they're giving you the options of having both. That means they're opening up their market. It's going to be a mass-produced car, guys. I love this car. This car is an incredible car. And I'm not saying this one that's coming out, but in general, the GT3 is a great car to daily, to take to the track, and it is a very fun and sexy looking car. That's what really is appealing to me about the GT3. Now, let's talk about the GT3 relationship with the R, because now that the GT3 with a manual is coming out, everyone's like, oh, same amount of horsepower, it's a GT3 with a manual. Why the fuck am I going to stick with the R? I think it's completely different. I think if you're thinking of getting rid of one car, and I'm not sure yet because I haven't driven the car, it all depends on how it drives. But what I'm thinking is it's going to feel more like a manual RS. If you're going to get rid of a car today, would be the automatic RS, because we know they're going to do another naturally aspirated RS of this 991.2. Porsche is saying it's going to be the PDK, track focus, just performance. So that's going to be that. The GT3 is coming in here replacing that because it's giving you the same power, same everything. The R is a more raw experience, a more of a driver's car. It's lighter. It's a completely different thing. I'm curious to see how it matches up with the GT3. If they're close, get rid of the R. But I don't think they will after I drove the RS, the GT3 RS, and the R back to back. I really don't in one of the episodes of the vlog. So let's see what Porsche is gonna do. I'm not entirely sure what the hell I'm gonna do. I'm not entirely sure how the car is gonna be. Until we see it, we can't make any assumptions. I'm just very excited for it. Now, next car from Porsche, the Gt2 Rs. We've all seen many spy shots of this car already. This is gonna be a car that's gonna be announced later in the year. I thought it was gonna be announced before the new GT3, but now this makes more sense, actually. They're gonna announce it at the end of the year because that's when they're thinking they're gonna finalize everything. Originally, they wanted to make the car 700 horsepower twin turbo car, and they said we can't do the 700 horsepower because we're gonna have to water inject the engine, and they don't want to do that. They just wanted to keep it simple, and I think they're gonna go with 650 horsepower. That's at least what I read in autocar.uk. I know a lot about this car. They're gonna basically make 911 turbo on a GT3 RS, if you will, setup with 90 horsepower more. So you can only imagine how fucking mental that car will be. That to me is 100% collectible for the books, one of the most legendary cars that Porsche will ever make, period. I'm getting one of those if I'm able to the second they come out. So fingers crossed. Fingers fucking crossed. Also, this is gonna be the last time they're gonna use that engine on the 2RS. This is an old engine, old technology, and Porsche is saying goodbye to that engine with the GT2 RS. So that's kind of awesome, because I can see how that's gonna work. And now let's talk about another car that we heard about when we were speccing our GT4s. I remember hearing from Porsche that they were thinking about making a GT4 RS. Apparently, I heard that they were, and then a lot of projects got axed in Porsche, but some of them went forward. I'm hoping this is one of them, because they're saying that new Cayman RS, the GT4 RS, is gonna have a 4.0 engine like in the 911s. They haven't said if it's gonna be a manual or not. I'm hoping it will be, because that would be so fucking legendary, and there's no reason why they can. It's not too much horsepower for the crank to handle it, so it should be fine. On top of the 4.0 engine, the car is going to have around 430 horsepower, which we know the biggest complaint we had about the Cayman, or people had about the Cayman, I actually thought it was great that it was slow, was that it was too slow for what it was. I think this is going to solve that problem. I'm going to make it more mental. That might be the beginning of Porsche going towards that mid-engine big boy car, like the RSR, that it's race legal only. Oh my God, can you imagine? So this one, I am very excited about it, whether they make it a manual or an auto. If they make a manual, I'll be more interested. Hopefully they'll give you the option of the PDK and the manual car. That'd be fucking bomb. So that's until next year, so don't get too excited about it. Probably around the $200,000 range, 180, 160 to 180,000. Depending on how limited they make it. That's sticker price. That's what I'm thinking. We don't know if they're going to be limited or not, and how limited they're going to be if they're limited. Porsche collecting news over. And let's move on to the next part of the video, which is McLaren. McLaren is unveiling the 720S. McLaren, you and Lamborghini are on my fucking last nerve. The 720S, the Aventador with the 730 horsepower, but we're gonna call it the S, but not the 730S. Listen, homies, I understand that Pagani changed the name to their car, the 730S that they made for me, but that doesn't mean nobody owns that name, eh?
How would you like to suck my balls?
Hey, I'm watching you guys. Anyways, the 720S is obviously the replacement of the 650S, which is the regular standard model, like a 458 in Ferrari terms. The new 488 would be the 720S, giving that McLaren mid-level lineup actual sense. It actually makes sense now. That is awesome. A few things I heard about this car that seem to be real based on everything I've heard from day one about it. They're saying that they're going to debut the car at the Geneva Motor Show, which is no surprise to anyone. It's going to have a lot more active aero. They're saying that that rear wing, it's going to hug the car a little bit down, and it's going to be a new thing that no one's ever seen. Obviously believe it. The monocoque, all made out of carbon fiber. It's obviously more rigid than the previous one and saves the car 40 pounds in curb weight. So lighter, more rigid. Anyone that knows anything about cars understands what that means. Also, more aero. One of the most important and understated things in cars. I never understood its importance until I made it to the track and you drive the cars with aero with less power and you're like, holy fuck, this is incredible. Those are my favorite. One funny thing is they're saying that they're going to be showing this car, even though it's debuting in Geneva, they're going to show it to a few McLaren owners in February. So you know who's going to get a call, not this guy. Fuck. I am very excited about this car. Will I be getting one? I'm not entirely sure that I want to get one unless I get one of the first ones that land in the US. Not for anything other than depreciation. That depreciation from McLaren on the regular cars, it's brutal. If you buy smart, if you buy strategically, you'll do well. That means just getting one of the first cars that comes to the US. Other than that, the one I'm very, very interested about is any limited editions that they make on that car, like the LT of that car. That's going to be so fucking epic. Mwah! FYI, this is the car that everyone said that was going to beat the P1, so this should be that car that beats the P1. From that, let's go into something a little bit more juicy. What about the Pagani Roadster, the Huayra Roadster? Everyone's been talking about it because a few renders leaked. I've seen those renders. I saw them about a year and a half ago in Monterey. Not last year, the Monterey from the year before. That's when they started selling the cars. They started selling those cars at 1.7 million euros, and I think right now if you want to order one, it's either 2.2 or 2.4 million euros. You might be wondering how they keep adjusting that fucking price. Every time they sell a car, they're like, oh, well, that guy bought it for that, so this is how much it's going to be. I'm not entirely sure anymore if they went back to the lower number or not, because the Tempesta packages that they installed in the other cars, how that affected the market. I know a few things about this car. This car is supposed to be the one to buy. Why? It's got new carbon fiber technology. That means the carbon fiber is more rigid. Therefore, the chassis is going to be more rigid than the actual coupe. That's what they're saying, or that's what their intent was last time I was with the Pagani guys. If that's true, there's not a lot else to do. The design looks way more aggressive. I know that all the customers, for the most part, were very excited about adding gold wings into that car. Maybe not gold wings because obviously you're missing the hinges up here, but probably something like they did in the SLR, right? The hinges right here with the McLaren. But Horatio insists that he doesn't want to copy anyone, that he's very original, so he didn't go with those. I personally think that's a mistake because we've seen it in the SLS. It's a simple example. The gold wings are going up, whereas the Roadsters are tanking on the market. Now, this car is the best value for your money because it's gonna have all of the BC technology, not the coupe. The coupe doesn't even have this carbon fiber, I think, and a better clutch system, or could be the same one, but not worse. So if you want to save some money and not get a BC, I recommend buying this car. It's gonna be weird though, because I don't know how it'll do after some time, because it doesn't have those doors, or at least where I left it off, it did not have those doors, and Horatio was saying he would not fucking put them in the car. So that's the Wire Roadster. What's going to be the price point? Again, about 2.4 million euros. 2.3, 2.4, that's where I left off. Why does it make sense to buy the Wire Roadster instead of the BC? Because the BC started with, we're only going to make 20, and now there's way more than 20. The coupes, they were going to make 100, and we know that there's more than 100. I just don't think you need to buy the full enchilada from Pagani to be able to get the best car. I think you can be smart and just buy the Roadster instead. Obviously, the BC is one of the greatest looking cars in the world, no doubt about that. But if I were to buy one, it'd be the Roadster. And not even the BC Roadster, which is coming obviously later, but just the regular Roadster. That's what I'd buy. That's the best bang for your money, for sure, from Pagani. And last but not least, let's talk about Lamborghini Pig, for those of you who know. So Lamborghini is introducing their new Performante. Motor Trend just made a review. Johnny Lieberman just wrote about it. One thing, and I just have to say it out loud because I have to, out of personal reasons. Last time Johnny said that the Aventador SV really did 2 laps around the ring and was almost as fast as the 918, and then Lamborghini was like, oh no, we gotta stop because we cannot ridicule Porsche. To me personally, that still sounds like a lot of hunk of shit, so I'm not gonna go with that, and I'm not gonna believe any statements until I get to see the car, test it out, and put the numbers. I mean no disrespect with this, I just mean this is my opinion. Sorry. A few things about this car. Number one, obviously they took down the weight. The car weighs 90 pounds less than the other car. They did that by tweaking the exhaust, making a lighter exhaust. They reworked the suspension. They reworked on a ton of stuff, adding more carbon fiber, obviously, to the car. The car is lighter, has a better exhaust system. Obviously, reworked suspension that makes it way more hardcore than before. And one of the most important and impressive things that they did, according to this article that I read, was their active Aero system is not going to be the same one that they used in anything else. It's going to be something different that Lamborghini is trying to patent right now. And this active Aero is not going to be just a wing that goes up and down in some vents opening and closing. This is going to be all around the car, and it's mostly smart holes in between places, right? This is just a very simple and stupid way of explaining it. A wing takes forever to go up and down. It takes some time, right? Like a second or whatever. These holes that they're planning, the Aero, I hate saying holes. These holes are going to be able to open in 0.2 of a second. That is really fast, considering when you're going on a turn and you want to change your Aero, if you're going on a right turn, mind you, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. If your car needs more, you're making a right turn, you're going to need more grip on the right side. So then the vents will open real quick there for 2 seconds, allowing more air to come in. The car becomes heavier, therefore better position for grabbing the turn. All of the weight gets switched in the right direction, giving you the ability to pull way more G-forces than on a regular car or on the same car without those things. That, to me, sounds incredible. I know a lot of you guys think I just bash Lamborghini for being bullshit, whatever. I like Lamborghini. I just don't think they're making a lot of sense in their business in some other way that I'd like them to make. Either way, they make really fucking cool cars. And this car, if it's livable with, because the last ones were fucking awful. The Gallardos to get in, oh God. But the Huracan is one of my favorite cars out right now in that range. Why? Because it's simple, it's easy, it sounds, it makes the great noises. It looks insane. It's just got that Italian flamboyance backed up by a lot of speed and great driving sensations. Yeah, it's not the most precise like a McLaren, but it's still pretty fucking great. I like that. I like the rawness of those Lambos. If Lamborghini pulls this off and they really make this car livable and also great for the track, I don't fucking give a shit about numbers. That's gonna be a winning formula for them, because now we're getting into an age where all these cars are phenomenal and they need to be fucking phenomenal. So I'm very excited to see and test out this car once I have a chance. But with that said, guys, I'm gonna leave you with the question of the day. Which one of these cars are you the most excited about and why? Please let me know in the comments down below. Remember, my name is Alejandro and this is not the end of this video, because I have to remind you one thing. We're gonna be doing Let's Talk About Cars, and we're gonna introduce a podcast part of the show to this. We're gonna record the first one this week, and it's gonna be a little off. We're building a studio for it. It's not gonna be just a rinky-dinky bullshit podcast. It's a proper podcast. We're gonna change a few dynamics. So this is what I wanted to mix the Hot Box, Hot Topics, and Let's Talk About Cars into. Sadly, never happened, but now we're just gonna do whatever the fuck we want anyway. So yeah, hope you enjoy that, and I'm out!